Order tonight, and I say muscle powered's in the house tonight, man. I love it. I love it. It's great that we have this opportunity to put this on the agenda. So now I got to go back to the public. So the agenda, I got call to order first, please. Brianna?
Chair Kimbrough,
Here.
Vice Chair Inverson, Member Burge, Member Martinovich, Member McQuarrie, Member Mozingo, Member Wiggins. A quorum is present.
Great, thanks. Now I have a period of public comment. So what we like to ask for is that the public comment come during the agenda item, if that's what you have interest in. If not, you're still welcome to come up and during this public comment period. Denny, can you hang on just a second on yours? I'm going to call one other before you, and then we'll be fine. You'll be second, Denny. Thank you. Marina.
Hi, everyone. Marina Lovejoy, Senior Natural Resource Specialist for the record. I just wanted to come up here briefly and introduce our new volunteer coordinator, Erin Larson. Erin started in January, and she's really hit the ground running since then in just a couple of months. She's got our Park Ambassador program off the ground. We have 4 Park Ambassadors currently, all on open space properties so far. She's working with Greg on a Trails Challenge that's coming in June of this year. So that's just a couple of things, and Erin will be back in June to present an annual report for last year. So just wanted to welcome Erin.
I just wanted to say hi, and it's wonderful to be here, and I'm really excited to have this job and to get going for the busy season of spring and summer. Yeah.
I told her she had to get 3 muscle powered volunteers before she left tonight. Start her right off the bat. There you go. So thank you. Any other comments? Nope. Okay. All right, Danny, you're up, sir.
Denny French, Carson City, Nevada, Chair and members. One of the things I'm concerned about are the bees right now. We're having an unusual year as far as spring trying to happen, and then winter happening and spring happening, and plants have been slowed down in their usual development. And I believe that we should consider the bees' habitat situation being sort of upheavaled. And I've asked Rick Cooley, and I've left messages for Parks and Recreations Manager Jennifer Budge, and for Lovejoy, and for Boyer, and I wanted them to consider holding off the weed spray until after enough time for the other plants to recoup and be available to the bees. Bees are dealing with a habitat issue, but they're also dealing with mites and a gut issue, and it's causing a great degree of loss. And I think that if we could just postpone some of the basic weeding, that would take out those dandelions, and that is a first sign we've got a real problem, and that if the bees don't have something to come to now, that they might not be sustained in the area. And as we are Bee City, and I'm sure Lindsay Boyer is concerned about this, but I hadn't had a chance to talk to her, and I hadn't gotten a response yet for my call. I would like the spraying to be held up. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Danny. Anybody else in the public comment period? Seeing none, I bring it back. Next agenda item is for the approval of the minutes. Do I have any changes or a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Aaron, second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Jay abstains. Motion carries. All right, now we're into the business items. 5A for discussion only. Presentation from Muscle Powered regarding the Coalition for Recreation Trails Annual Achievement Award for Outstanding Use of a Recreational Trail Program, funds in the Community Linkage category for the Capitol Tahoe Trail. Where's Greg? No Greg, huh? That's okay. You can go, Lindsay. You're on.
For the record, Lindsay Boyer, Open Space Manager for Carson City Parks, Rec and Open Space. Greg Bergeron, our Trails Coordinator, could not be here tonight, so I wanted to proudly introduce this item. So as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, this is recognition and celebration of Muscle Powered in receiving the Annual Achievement Award for Outstanding Use of Recreational Trails Program funds in the Community Linkage category, and that's from the Coalition for Recreational Trails. As many of you know, the Capitol to Tahoe Trail was recently finished and unveiled, and this is a culmination of an 8-year effort with so many different partners, Muscle Powered leading the charge, but of course, Carson City was involved, Visit Carson City, who we have representation with from today, Nevada State Parks, Forest Service, private landowners, and many others. I know so many of those folks are out in the audience, as well as all of our dedicated Muscle Powered volunteers. So definitely want to recognize all of the efforts that went into this amazing trail. Of course, this provides the first single track connection to the Tahoe Rim Trail, which is pretty amazing. So at this point, a hiker could now feasibly go on a journey to either Canada or Mexico from our state capital, which is pretty amazing. This is the third time that a Carson City Trail project has received this award. The Ash to Kings Trail also received the award back in 2016. That was a Muscle Powered recipient. And then our own department also received an award for the Fish Street Trailhead project. So we're very honored to be part of this and to see another great project get recognized. So with that, I did want to call up and introduce Pete Donges, who is the former Trails Coordinator for Muscle Powered, and just invite him to speak about the award.
Let's see. Am I coming through? Yeah, well,
Coming through loud and clear. there,
okay.
Peter.
Well, Honorable Chair and members, thanks a lot for letting us come. And I'm sad that Greg isn't here. He was a crew guy, a surveyor, a fellow bike rider, and a whole lot of other things. And he was backbone in this project, so I honor him. As Lindsay said, this is about the Coalition for Recreational Trails tapping us for the award she described. It's part of the big recreational trails program umbrella, and recognizes the contributions of this trail in the framework of the overall RTP program. I think Lindsay has given a lot of great background, and I think I'll skip those preliminaries. But I would like to share with you, and I'd also like to thank in the audience an amazing set of people who worked on this trail. I'm sorry that Dave and Lydia from Visit Carson City can't be here because they funded a lot of front end work. Are they here? Oh, thank God. Oh, that's right. Thank goodness.
She brought your youngest volunteer with her.
Yeah. How do I recruit? I'd also like to, there's so many people to recognize that this is the wrong place to do it, but I would like to put a spotlight on the people that had the vision to start this thing. And I'd like to recognize Ward Noose, Alan Welch, Kevin Sullivan, Jeff Potter, Keith Conrad, and an assemblage of other people who had the vision progressively to do this thing. You probably all know when Jeff moved to town in the late 90s, he asked himself, why isn't there a trail up there? And kind of put that thing to bed and pursued a lot of other ad hoc trail building that almost got him in trouble, but eventually led to the Trails Group in Muscle Powered. And Jeff is the father of our trails. And, you know, I'm an also-ran. I just got on the project, you know, to tinker with whatever Jeff started. But by the time Ashton King was done in the 2015, 2016 area, those visionaries were already thinking pretty seriously about finding an alignment up the hill, and had been thinking about this in addition for several years. And from that point on, we started doing cooperative bushwhacking on the hillside. I think by 2019, we had Kevin Joel, a professional trail builder, and ourselves marching up and down the, you know, the hillside. We eventually discovered we had a horrifying prospect of building part of the trail on a very steep slope, and a guy named Dr. Christian Mansfeld, who owns private property along the way, jumped in, and because he's an avid bike rider, agreed to give us an easement that the city cooked with the Forest Service and others to give us the right to build an easier way across that doctor's land, and I'd sure like to tap him out tonight. By the time I think we got to 2017, I believe Mark, Donna, Jeff, Lynn Zong maybe, were working on the Eagle Valley Trail Committee, and I believe put the vision for this thing into an official
A spark.
plan, you know, for building many trails around here that have taken off since. And that was incorporated in the Unified Pathway Master Plan, I think 2018. So a lot of user voices joined the fray beyond the vision of our predecessors to really kick this thing along. And Jeff worked, I think I started building trail with Muscle Powered in 2017, but by 2019 he was turning over duties and showing me the ropes and so on. I think by 2020, after a couple of tries, the Recreational Trails Program blessed us with awards for both Lincoln Bypass and Cap to Tahoe, funds to employ a professional trail builder that turned out to be Kevin Joel with Sierra Trail Works. He's not here tonight. He didn't go to Washington.
He's in the
Oh, he
back.
is. Thank goodness. Sir. And Kevin is a passionate, exquisite, sort of perfectionist of building trails right. And to get him on the team and to get the money that eventually topped $220,000, much of it from RTP, a big chunk from this group, $20,000 if I remember right, and a whole lot of other funds from donors backing Muscle Powered, got behind this thing. And when Lincoln Bypass and Cap to Tahoe were done, we had thousands of construction hours between Kevin and us, bucket of money I just mentioned, and the passion of all these crazy trail people, you know, that came out to build. And I remember Jeff once told me, if it ain't fun, don't do it. But what he didn't tell me was that there's this 10-mile stretch up in a beautiful, beautiful mountainside that is like a playground, you know, a kid in a candy shop for a bunch of us nuts. And we all just fell into it. And I think by 2020, Muscle Powered was spending part of its funds to launch the trail up on state parks land. One thing led to another, and the RTP grant came in. And with Kevin's incredible help, we finished late September last year and put the first sign up that Greg supplied for us at the top of Ashton King to signify turn here. And so we've just had a ball, and I can't tell you how honored we all are to be connected to the city team that helped make this thing happen. Unbelievable. So on to the award. Joe, Larry, my wife Vicki here, and I were tapped out by Muscle Powered to go represent the team in Washington. This is not an award to Muscle Powered. It's an award to the trail, and it's an award to the community. So don't hang it on us.
Where's it going to hang?
This is going to go in City Hall, along with the Ashton King, if we can find it. And I hope it's near the mayor's office or wherever they can find wall space. I don't know, I think Greg doesn't know if we can leave it there, but it would be a sin for this to sit in anybody's home. It's got to get out. And so we'll make that
Well, you
happen.
got the mayor sitting behind you to make sure that.
I know. Would you object long-term?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah, you have Janice from State Parks here too, with RTP money sitting
Yeah.
down at the end.
Yeah, exactly. let's see, there was one other thing I wanted to say. I've forgotten it now, but this whole team, I think when I did crew counts and civic official counts, including Janice and the mayor and everybody else, Bob Crowell, I think there were 150 people sprawling across all that stuff. And I just love the passion of this work, and I love the team I work with.
You're a good spokesman, Peter, for them,
Well,
and an award winner yourself. I think we had to do the plan to keep Jeff Potter out of jail, Peter.
well, I keep, bapping him on the head, and he won't come down.
I know, he likes where he lives.
I think he does. I probably did this, but for anybody who hasn't seen this, our little team went to Washington, D.C. and joined some upper-level people in Congress and the Recreational Trails Program itself. I'm sorry I don't know the man and the woman's name, but they were incredibly passionate Congress-level people talking to the importance of building trails, maintaining trails, using trails as an educational platform to bring our youth along. Unbelievable set of people and 12 different projects that were all on display with these teams that would get up and, blow off like I'm doing. And every one of them loved what they were doing. And it's so great that at congressional level, something like $80-odd million is being allocated to help trails along throughout the nation. And this is a little tiny piece of it. So, thank you.
We're gonna, as somebody's sign language, you mean here, we would like a picture in this somehow with this.
Well, I hope there's a photo op.
I need one of those people that knows how to huddle the, what's that called? Handle all these people to try to get you in one group and everybody's smiling and everybody's facing. So I don't know who can help me do that, but.
Is this a good time?
Well, we're certainly going to try it. Is there enough room between here and there to gather in the center here? Oh, stand behind us? Oh, in front and behind? Did anybody hear? Herding cats, that's what it's, herding cats. No, we're going to sit up here and people get behind us, but we can huddle closer. You guys can slide your chairs in. You got to be short enough.
We have to stand up. Show up.
You can be behind me.
I can still be seen.
Herding cats, herding cats. Got lots of room back here. Good to see you again. Kevin, how you doing, buddy? All right.
Hey, Kevin, I'm trying to get a grant to put that multi-use path through Washington.
Oh, sorry. We all stand, if you guys stand with your left shoulder facing and we with our right, we can probably fit most of us in. Yeah, and then if you guys come down.
She's used to hurting kids, so.
That's what I was calling. Hopefully there was somebody in the audience.
Kevin, you need to be back here. You're so tall. Get him on the desk.
Click, 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 click.
We'll stitch it together.
Thanks so much.
Now, should I call for? Now, there's still an opportunity for public comment if anybody wanted to say something to this agenda item, which is non-action item. But if anybody wanted to come up and share something.
Okay, Joe Foster from Muscle Powered. I live in Carson City. I just want to say I agree with everything Pete said, and we really do love the collaboration with the city and all of the state and all of the other institutions. The collaboration is really great, and keep it coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, excuse me. Hi, Lisa Schutte. I just wanted to give a shout out to Muscle Powered. You know, the collaboration of this incredible nonprofit with community members, with its volunteers, with the city, with our trails. It really is such an amazing effort that has benefited Carson City and our residents and our visitors alike. It is just such a lovely, wonderful relationship. But to the Muscle Power crew and the thousands of hours that you have spent, and the time and the energy and the blisters and the money and the lost sleep and the sore muscles and all the above, our community is better because of Muscle Powered. And I am just so incredibly grateful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Juan.
I wanted to relate two stories. One, one has to do with, you wouldn't figure that connecting to the TRT from our point of view was like going to Mecca, you know, how can we do better? Well, it took about 8 months of arguments. The TRT is very jealous and they guard that trail and they want to preserve the experience of the amazing experience of walking or riding your horse on the trail. So they're not very casual about another trail coming and intersecting the trail. So we learned that it took about 8 months of negotiations to be able to do that. And we have to extend our trail in order to be able to hook up in a place where they thought it was the most appropriate and the most adequate to meet everybody's needs. So besides that, when we finally got together and we decided, okay, this is what we're going to do, we know the project, it's really well, now let's find a contractor. So we talked to a few people. Well, we talked to Kevin, and the first thing out of my mouth was, Kevin, we don't have money to pay you. Do you want to work? Can you work free for a few months until we figure this out? And can you help us figure this out? And his answer was, yes, absolutely. I hope you have money to pay me, but yeah, let's do it. And that was such an amazing attitude, such a great attitude to work with a person that have that commitment and that work ethic towards trails. So very thankful to you, Kevin, for this. Now that I look back and I see Eric, it just so happens that when we began the open space program, it was the same situation. So I needed maps, and the city have a very, very juvenile GIS program, so there were no maps making. So I went to Eric and said, Eric, I need a map maker, but I don't have money to pay you. Can you work for me? He said, oh yeah, we'll do this. And Eric has been ever since, you know, connected to our trail community. So it just takes more. It's a village. You know, it takes the effort of everybody, and we're very thankful for all these capacities that you bring to our ability to put our energies into getting blisters and getting asthma and getting all the things that don't put the making trail. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Juan.
Hi, I'm Lydia Beck. I'm the marketing and PR manager for Visit Carson City. I wanted to thank you all for your incredible efforts of making this trail. Also make you aware of a fun PR campaign that we are running called the Carson City to Canada Quest. Thanks to Greg, we were doing an interview with the Nevada Appeal when we knew the Capitol Tahoe Trail was being launched, and he said, I think it's pretty incredible. You can go all the way from Carson City to Canada or Mexico. And it sparked an idea of let's make it happen. So Visit Carson City is sponsoring 2 hikers and paying them $5,000 each to actually make the trek from Carson City all the way to Canada. And we're going to be doing that in 2025. So we're very excited. Some of you may hate me a little bit for promoting the trail that much. But let me tell you, when we've got national exposure because of this trail and because of you all, and put Carson City on the map as an incredible outdoor destination, even more than you already have before. So thank you all for including us in this and being such incredible partners to us. I couldn't do my job many times without Greg and Lindsay and the partnership of Muscle Powered. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor only gets 1 minute. I'm sorry.
I'll go really super fast. So Lori Bagwell, I just want to do a big shout out for everyone, but I think sometimes we forget about something else that trails and park systems do for us. So I want to thank you for helping the mental health of our community. It goes lost a lot of times, but it's important. And so when we look at priorities and people say, why do you fund that, Mayor? Why not a pothole? I want to say because it all matters, right? It all matters. And I can't think of anything better than a beautiful trail to give me peace of mind. So just want to say thank you for that. It meant it. So thank you.
Any other comments?
It's fitting that Eric threw some of the last dirt in completing the trail with Kevin and I.
That's very true, Peter. Well, I'm just really excited that you were able to come tonight as a group, and let me see if anybody from the board wants to say anything. Sam or Mary, Aaron, Jay, Donna. Donna used to be, she still is Muscle Powered's second? No, maybe not an officer anymore. But.
No, I'm still on the board.
Oh. So you're marked as prejudicial comments then?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really an honor to be a part of this project and have been since 2007. I remember the night that Jeff Potter came to Muscle Powered and said, hey, would you help me build this trail? And that was the Ashton Kings Trail, and we were such fools. We said, oh, that sounds like an interesting idea. We had no idea what we were getting involved in. And it's been a journey, and a wonderful journey. And I love it. I'm a retired registered nurse, and I feel like trails are so important to communities because it gets people outdoors and healthier and happier, and it actually lowers the cost for communities for healthcare. And to me, it's just such an important part of every community. And what has happened here in Carson City since I moved here in 2006, to me, has just made us such a better community, and I love it here. So, yeah, and I'm going to stay on the board as long as they'll let me, I guess. I'm just historian now, so thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I just get this huge smile on my face, and I almost start laughing because this is really the pinnacle of what it means to have everyone working together. And I know that we are the envy of so many communities around us. I have friends that just like, how, what? It's remarkable, and what a blessing. So thank you again. I love the trails, and we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. So just keep building them. I can't wait to hear what the next project's going to be, Pete and Kevin.
You can sign up for 5,000 mile hike there. If you
No.
Well,
No,
that's
thank you.
5,000, but it's a long one. Well, anybody else going to say anything? Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, just real quick. I've been on just a couple muscle-powered projects, not nearly enough, obviously, but the ones I have are amazing. So if anyone hasn't ever done it, it's really neat to go back and see areas you've helped clean up, be a part of. It almost feels like your own trail. So I'm plugging for others to get involved and help if they can. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Well, with that, I'm sorry that Greg's not here, so give him our thoughts. And I think the best solution is if Muffspard put a desk in Greg's office and then they can direct communication here. So thanks, Muffspard, for being who you are and what
I
you
should
do.
mention one other thing. For some reason, the city did not get one of these for the Prison Hill Trail, and I think they should, and we'll go to work on that.
Put it on your list.
Thank you so
you. I'll give a few minutes for the, is anything else, Lisa, or did you want to say something?
No, I just want to give one more round of applause.
Oh, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and let the room clear before I do the next agenda item with, so we don't have, not that you don't want to stay here for our meeting, what the heck? Hi, Janice. Well, Rob, I'm sorry to say that all your audience left, buddy.
He thought everybody was here.
That's what I told him. They were here. Is the door getting shut? Yeah, there it goes. All right, well, next agenda item, presentation and discussion only regarding presentation for service award to a former Open Space Advisory Committee member. So I'm gonna go down, I got in trouble last time because suppose I went off camera, so, and they can't hear me is what Greg told me, so. I'm gonna come down in front, Rob, just to say a few words and then get a picture. And the whole board's gonna come down right here. Perfect. Rob, stand up and come up here. Okay. Where to go? Yeah, there you go. Right there. You guys can come down. We're gonna get another picture with Rob. So last time, I guess I goofed up, didn't take the mic and everything. It was not on.
It was on record.
So now they're gonna hear what I say to you. Who is he? All right, well, I'm sorry you missed the last meeting. The reason you missed that meeting is the reason you had to leave this board is that your new professional life is taking more of your time away and you got family time that's important to you. We have such a wonderful, absolutely wonderful open space board with expertise and knowledge, and you were a big player to that with all your background. So you'll be sorely missed. And we made this plaque for your service and recognition, appreciation for your exemplary, dedicated volunteer service to the enhancement of open space program. The community and staff have substantially benefited from your valuable time, energy, and knowledge in support of the mission and vision of OSAC. So we handed this, and then Lindsay went out and found photos that thought fit for each person individually.
Perfect.
So she picked that cool picture for you, and this is your service plaque.
Thank you so much.
Now, who's got the camera? You got the camera?
Would you tell us if it was bad?
AI, we got AI. We can fix it all. Oh, the AI. Thanks,
All right.
Ron. I
I'm
appreciate
gonna
it.
say a few words
That's
to
fine.
you guys real quick.
Okay, that's okay. You have all the time you want? 3 minutes.
It's better than 2 minutes I give. All right, Rob Galeri for the record. Really appreciative of this award. It means a lot to me. But something that came up the other week that actually really bring it home was had some friends come visit that were from the area, moved out of town to Washington, came back, and we just went right up to the trails and just went hiking and went out and did it. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much nicer and how much better this is to be in an area where you have that ability to do that. For them to be able to do that, it's like an hour drive, to go just get on a trail like that. So taking for granted being here all the time, it's one of those things that you always see and you just expect to have, but have seen those friends like go through those emotions from used to have it to not having it and seeing how nice it is, really brought it home how important what it is. And I was even pointing out, look, we acquired that property over there, we acquired this one over here. They're not gonna be able to develop and build on top of that. So it was a really neat experience for me to remind me of how important this is. This is definitely something I'd like to do in the future again with a different job at that point in time or retired, but that's a long ways away from now. But again, this is really great opportunity for you guys to continue to improve on the community that is here in Carson City. and everything you do and your team is really important. I mean, you guys blow every other city out of the park for Nevada. It's not even comparable. So just keep up the good work. And one day I'll kind of be coming back. I just can't tell you. It might be decades from now. So that's all.
Well, if it's decades, don't look for me. Thanks, Rob, for your serve very much. All right. So, next item on the agenda is 5C. Discussion and possible action regarding the annual monitoring report for the Horse Creek Ranch Conservation Easement for 2023. Marina, thank you.
Hello again, Marina Lovejoy, Senior Natural Resource Specialist for the record. So you all have in your packet the annual monitoring report for 2023. That monitoring was conducted in October of last year. But just for a little bit of context on the Horse Creek Ranch property, it's a conservation easement that was purchased by Carson City in 2009. And that easement protects the property from development, of course. Like I said, we do annual monitoring to ensure that the property is maintained and is in good condition. So the first section has a list of monitoring categories. And most of these, there's been no changes except for soil degradation. There's some slight changes along the road on the west side of the property due to all of the snow and the water flow that we were seeing over that road. There was some erosion, and the landowner installed a culvert to try and mitigate that. And you can see some photos on the next page. So we had a little bit of concern with this culvert. We talked to some staff to get their take on it. In this report, we have some recommendations for that section of the road. At this time, though, the landowner is still in compliance with this monitoring category. The next thing I want to note, this has been in the report for several years, but in the southeast corner of the property, there's a drainage that we've been looking at for several years. Monitoring in 2023 shows that this area is still susceptible to erosion and seasonal changes. So this is just an area that we're going to keep looking at over the next several years, but we would like to recommend that the landowner get in touch with the Natural Resource Conservation Service to see if they can do any sort of mitigation to that head cut and that erosion that's occurring there. The stewardship account, there's been no expenses to report in 2023. Some updates on the plans to build. The caretaker, Mr. Jeffrey Kosker, has sent plans to the Carson City Planning Division. We informed him that we would like to see those plans and bring them in front of you all as well. So expect that in the next year, hopefully. NV Energy was going to run electrical lines under the property in conjunction with above ground lines at the neighboring property. That didn't happen on the Horse Creek Ranch property because they would like to utilize an off-grid solar system, which is kind of cool. I want to note that the gate adjacent to Kings Canyon Road is still in need of repair or replacement. Let's see, I want to note the loafing area as well. And that's an area by the cabins, kind of right off the main road. And this is an area where the cattle like to kind of just loaf around and they kind of erode the grasses in the area. So on page 14, you'll see a photo comparison that I did looking at satellite imagery for the last decade. In 2023, that loafing area appears smaller than in the last couple of years, but it does seem, it seems larger than it has looked in the last couple of years, but it is smaller than it was a decade ago. So this is just an area that we're going to keep looking at over time, and using this Google Earth satellite imagery is a great way to see that change over time. Another item that I want to note is forest health on this property and the adjacent property is a concern. Mr. Kosker, the property caretaker, coordinated a treatment with the Nevada Division of Forestry in 2020, though we would like to see some more thinning work done to reduce the risk of wildfire. Also, Western dwarf mistletoe has been observed, and that is a concern. And so we are going to put the caretaker in touch with the Nevada Division of Forestry again and recommend that some mitigation work be done for that mistletoe. So I have a couple of items that we would like the caretaker to take a look at, including the head cuts on the southeast corner of the property. We want to continue removing bolt thistle from the meadow. This last year, we had an event with muscle-powered volunteers go out and remove some of that bolt thistle. This was the first volunteer event that we've done since 2019. So it was great to get the group back out there. And actually, when I used to work for the city, I believe it was 2018, I went out there with muscle powered, so it was awesome to return 5 years later. But bolt thistle is looking pretty good as of 2023, so we'll see what this year brings. We'd like to see gate improvements at Kings Canyon Road, those forest health concerns addressed, and we would also like to see the development plans when they're available to us. So with that, I'll take any questions from the committee.
Any questions? This side? So Donna? I'll come.
Regarding the forest problems in the mistletoe, are Horse Creek and Schultz working together? Because, I mean, that forest is continuous. And I know Wood Ranch has had the missile problems and the forest problems too.
Great question, Lindsay Boyer for the record. So our recent visit out to Old Woods Ranch as a group is what prompted us to take a little bit closer look at the forest health on the Horse Creek side of things, because Old Woods Ranch has been so proactive about their forest health management. And as you noted, it's all contiguous, one meadow. So we want to make sure that the Horse Creek folks are doing a lot of the, similar work, so we can make sure that Old Woods Ranch, those efforts don't go for naught. So we put it in the report, and then with our connections with Nevada Division of Forestry, we want to help facilitate some additional site visits and stewardship evaluation out there. So that will be forthcoming. But yeah, we definitely want to make sure that those are happening in conjunction.
And also the loafing area are we aware of how many cattle are being run on the ranch, and is that why the loafing area changes? Because they're running different number of cattle?
We don't know the exact number of head of cattle. We can find that out. They work collaboratively with Old Woods Ranch, so it's Old Woods Ranch cattle, and then they run them on both sides of the fence. So that would be good to include in our report, so we can start including those numbers. I think with loafing areas, they tend to just change over time. Sometimes they're over here, sometimes they're over there. And so that's why we've implemented this kind of measurement and tracking as part of our monitoring report, so that if things really get out of control, we can recommend some rest in that area or exclusion fencing or what may be needed. But as of right now, it tends to kind of just contract and grow and contract again. So it just kind of changes its shape a little bit every year.
Did they put the salt lick there?
Not that I've seen.
Oh.
No.
Just curious. Anybody else? Aaron, go ahead.
I just had a quick question. I was curious if you have any plans to do a bull thistle volunteer event anytime in the near future?
Yeah, Marina Lovejoy, Senior Natural Resource Specialist for the record. Yeah, we hope to do one every year. Yeah, so bringing it back. We took quite a break with COVID, but hopefully we'll be out there every year.
Okay, cool.
Are we in charge, the city, of the Green Gate? Like, or is it the Forest Service? Who would repair the gate?
Good question. So there's a series of gates starting from Kings Canyon Road. There's one right off of the road. That was the gate that Marina was talking about. It looks like someone ran into it with a vehicle, but that is on Horse Creek Ranch property, so it would be their responsibility to replace the gate. We do have a stewardship account on our end. We don't tap into those monies very frequently. In my tenure, we haven't used those monies at all, but they are there to support stewardship on the property. But something like gates is probably more appropriate for the landowner to furnish.
Oh, okay, thank you.
How reactive is the property owner or the landowner when you guys makes like all your recommendations? Just because I've only been on the board for a year, so I was just curious, when you make recommendations over the last couple of years, do they take them relatively seriously? Are they proactive?
Yeah, excellent question. So they are definitely responsive. It's required that they read the report. They have to sign it. We primarily liaise with the caretaker, as Marina was saying. So the actual landowner, I've never met, but he gets relayed the report, and he is a signatory on it. So depending on what the recommendation is, if it's something that's in their wheelhouse to go in and address, like the culvert, for example, they did that on their own. That wasn't something we recommended specifically. So I would say those property site-specific things, they're very responsive. The stuff where there's kind of more of a natural resource component, where they may not have the background or expertise, that's kind of where our role comes in to one, provide their recommendations, but two, help facilitate if we can by making connections with different agencies, or even going out on site visits. So we definitely insert ourselves when it comes to the natural resource side of things, so that we can help them navigate that, because it's just not their background.
That was actually kind of an indirect way I was going to ask the same question, was because you phrased it, we'd like to see. It wasn't they will, we'd like. So the response was, I was curious if you do a formal memo to them saying these, and they sign the report each year, I guess, with the, so I guess efforts made with this list and working with staff. And when they invite in, when you want NDF or the conservation group that you were talking about, do you go to those meetings too? So there's like 3 questions in there. But it's more of a direct involvement with them instead of we'd like to see. I mean, is there, you guys, a direct involvement with them?
There's certain things within the report that are like requirements of the conservation easement to maintain compliance. And then there's other things that are more recommendations based on what we see. So there's kind of that nuance there, but certainly as it relates to like the NDF and NRCS components, we would like to be there so that we're in the loop. So obviously we have to go out and do the monitoring. So we want to make sure we know kind of what big activities are happening on the property.
I kind of laughed. The culvert, I call that a farmer's fix. If you bring an engineer out there, they got to rebuild the road, the excavator, gravel, 12-inch culvert. You're out 50 grand to do something that was done from a pipe that was sitting over in the boneyard that they stuck across the road. So as long as it works, I'm glad to see that you don't get involved with them to the point where they got to get an engineer to engineer the culverts. Otherwise, you're going to goof up the relationship. So farmers fixes works, but I thought that was great. The money that you guys have, can that be used for any of that stuff? Fix the culvert, fix the gate, all those things too, so that takes that pressure off the plate for them to do it?
Yeah, so that stewardship account, I believe it was originally $50,000, and it came to us from the original landowner that we worked with to establish the conservation easement. And the balance is like $43,000. So I'm not sure, that $7,000 must have got spent before I was here. So I'm not sure exactly what project they worked on. But certainly any of those activities are kind of up for grabs, and we just have to kind of weigh, we want to maintain this stewardship account for years. So
Right.
that's why I said we kind of err on having the landowner furnish some of those things that are more straightforward, and we kind of save the stewardship account for something a little more nuanced.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Is there a way to replenish the stewardship account?
I believe if the the current landowner, if he wanted to contribute towards that stewardship account, I think he absolutely could.
But he's the sole contributor.
the original contribution was from the first owner, so there's been 2 owners since we purchased the conservation easement. So the stewardship account was set up, I believe, kind of as a requirement of that original easement. And so I don't know that there was a requirement to the second person when they purchased the property to also contribute, but we can look at that a little closer and circle
Okay.
back.
Cool, thanks.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call for public comment.
Thank you very much, Chair and Commissioner, or, sorry, members. Denny French, Carson City. I have to say I would have loved to have this all on screen so that you could have walked me through some of the areas. The loafing areas seem to have been just ignored. It's like they're putting cattle out there without any consideration. You can guide a horse to water but not make it drink, but in most cases, if you've got a salt lick out there and a good thing of water, I don't know what their water situation is, but that could have been controlled just by some I think very few big concern type changes, not necessarily containment or a guiding fence or such. So I'm disappointed in that. The loafing areas that are on the map weren't described as numbered, so it made it a little hard. PP or all the things on here weren't specific. I'm also concerned about the fact that on the list, so many things hadn't changed. No change, no change, no change until you get down to soil degradation. First off, I want to thank you. The pictures were beautiful. It looks like you were covering the area. I appreciate that. One of the observations that I have, however, was that several of the pictures weren't taken at the same time of the year as far as growth and such. The improvements really would be able to be more apparent if they were the same time each year. So you could check the peas with peas and carrots with carrots, you know, not otherwise. And I'm sure that was a bad description of how to do that, but I would have liked to have this shared with the community. Everybody can't get online. I was able to look as much as I could, and one of the observations I have is when you brought up the thistle, but you didn't mention the fact that our deforestation insect, I believe it's a white mite right now that's killing a lot of the trees and really doing a bad job on it. And if you just cut pieces up, it will then take those bugs wherever you take that wood. So you have to consider the movement of any of the logs and such that are already infested and make sure that they get disposed of separately and very carefully. So that's observations. The next thing for me is just to really ask that if there is going to be thistle pull up, I was part of that just indiscriminately. As I walked from the college, I found a thistle plant, and I took it upon myself to pull it up so that I could have it taken to a location and have it identified. So I did my part, one thistle bush down, but that was years ago. And I would love to get out on the property out there on the ranch and get a chance to be on it. Right now, it's no public access. There's not a season when you can get out there. There's not a trail to go around it. And I would like to encourage that as an option. And again, I would have loved to seen these pictures on a big screen. It was a little tough on the computer that I was on to see all of it. And I think that's about it, but that I appreciate the fact that the work is being done to keep an eye on it. I think the owner has done some things and not done some things that I would have encouraged. And so I'm not a person advising, and I'm definitely not well educated enough to have my say be final, but I would like it to be considered. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Danny. Thank you. I'll bring it back to board. I was going to say, as I did last year, that this report was very thorough, very comprehensive, shows, and it's important to show stewardship to these conservation easements so that if in the future, like we're looking at another conservation easement, you can show the work done with this to make sure there's compliance and constant communication with the landowners and stuff like that. That's really important. So this was very important and very thorough and very well done. So is any other comment from here before I call for the question? No. You made it just in time, Robin. You're right by hair of the chinny chin chin there.
Good evening, Robin Orloff. I'm preparing for a trip to Caliente, Pioche, Panaca, going mountain biking and dirt biking, and I was packing and I lost track of time. But I was listening to the program, and I think it's awesome that Muscle Powered came to get their award, which is well-deserved. I appreciate them. I want to say that I did the escape from Prison Hill, and I did the 14K, and the reason I do the 14K, actually 14 miles, is because I celebrate and honor Prison Hill, and I still plead with you all to give some consideration to the south end of the Prison Hill. I do this race. This is the second year. This is last year's T-shirt. Didn't get one this year. I do it because it goes to the south end of Prison Hill, which is very different from the 5K and the 10K, which is just in the volcanic. And I really feel like we need to preserve this hill. I listen to Muscle Power. Great. They deserve all the accolades they get. But we live on the west basin, the west edge of the Great Basin, and that is very, very precious. Going into the gateway to Tahoe is wonderful, but I think we need to consider Prison Hill. And the reason I'm talking about it in view of the Horse Creek Ranch, there is a segue. Prison Hill has a conservation easement, and it's supposed to have an annual report every year. And it does, but certainly not to the extent that Horse Creek Ranch does. It's not evaluated that closely, that deeply. The reports I've seen from BLM and the city go around the periphery. They go to the trailheads, they go to the kiosks, they go to the main trails. They don't go into the heart of the OHV area where the ephemeral streams are. I consider those still, you've heard me say, I think they are precious resources that we need to consider. And the Horse Creek Ranch considers a lot of precious resources. Protect, preserve is the theme of that conservation easement, and I feel like it is for the Prison Hill. I don't know if any of you have read it. It's a good read. And I think that it affords the same protection. And just because we're on the east side of the hill, I don't think it has any less value. So I encourage you all again to go out, to take a look. You've done your site visit with the city. I think you should do a site visit with some of the public so you see what we're talking about. And I've talked to the Nevada Attorney General's office, and it's possible to do either a site visit with the agenda or to do a separate serial one, just as you all did with staff. It's just a matter of how you do it and if you follow the rules for that. But I think in view of the conservation easement report for Horse Creek, it would be good for you all to have some knowledge of what's going on in the Prison Hill area as well. If we're concerned about water, we're concerned about soil, we're concerned about protecting vegetation. It's all the same concept over there. So I actually was hoping that Jo Foster, she works with Muscle Power, she's an ecologist, that she might come over and take a look at the OHV area as well, since she's very qualified to do that. That might be a consideration. But again, it's just a segue from the conservation easement report here, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, back to the board. We didn't have any comments. I called for the question on the, make a motion? Going to make a motion, Aaron? Thank you. It's short. You almost said it. Just moved. Huh? Yeah, there's a motion. I just had it on my screen here. So it's just, I move to recommend the conservation easement or something. It's like 10 words at that.
Oh, I move to approve the annual monitoring
There you
report
go.
as presented.
Okay, I have a second.
Thank you.
No second? Sam will second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Carries unanimous. Thank you. Next item on the agenda. I should cross that old one out so I don't say it again. Discussion and possible action regarding updates on the Carson River Master Plan Amendment Project. Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lindsay Boyer, Open Space Manager, for the record. I wanted to bring this item before you to talk about the Carson River Master Plan Amendment Project. This has been an ongoing project since 2022. There have been updates kind of at the staff level, but I wanted to bring a formal agenda item because we're really starting to kick this project off in earnest. So for some background, we've been working with the National Parks, Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program since December 2022 with the goal of updating the Carson River Master Plan, which was completed in 1996, so it's definitely overdue for an update. Specifically, we want to update the plan with all of the acquisitions that have happened in the river corridor since 1996. That was one of the primary goals from that plan was to create a river corridor, to protect the river corridor, to really create a vision for recreational access in the river. So we've done that since 1996, and so we really want to reflect all of those achievements. And then really kind of moving into more of the maintenance and management side of managing the river corridor, we did want to identify some maintenance and management strategies for those properties. And of course, this is a multi-collaborative approach. There are neighboring counties and other agencies and other groups who will be invited to this process because the river is a shared resource. The plan itself focuses on Carson City, but we want to include upstream and downstream updates as much as we can. To kind of update you on what we've been doing most recently, in 2023, we started working with kind of a core planning team, which included myself, Chair Kimbrough, our RTCA representatives, and then staff from the Carson Water Subconservancy District. So that's been a great core team. We've been really focusing on a lot of background effort that's needed to bring into the plan. So for example, we completed a thorough review and analysis of all of the regional and local master plans and state stewardship plans and those types of things that have been completed since 1996. So we want to make sure all of those edits and information is included. We of course want to finalize a vision and goal statement for what have we been doing, what is our objective here. We've done some baseline mapping for the project area, and then really started to dig into how we want to approach that stakeholder engagement process, because that's going to be such an important component of this plan, is capturing not only all of those different agencies that I mentioned, but also bringing the public into the fold as well, and making sure that they have a voice for what they want to see the next iteration of the Carson River to look like. So that's kind of what we've been up to in 2023. We have also developed a project work plan, so we're definitely working incrementally towards updating this plan. The plan for 2024 is to really jump into the stakeholder engagement process in earnest. And of course, bringing this before OSAC is one of the steps in that engagement process. But we will be bringing it before OSAC probably several times to provide updates. But we really hope to hold some open houses in the next year to gather public input. And then we'll most likely be having kind of smaller group efforts with the different agency folks focused on gathering information about natural resources, cultural resources, recreation opportunities, and more. So that's kind of the next step in this process, is really start gathering public feedback about the river and how the public is using it, as well as that agency input as well. I did also want to note that Marina and I presented at the CWSD Watershed Forum this year. We presented on the Carson River Master Plan update, so that was exciting because a lot of the folks who were involved in the first iteration of writing the plan were there and gave us some good feedback on things to include, and so we appreciate that opportunity as well. So as I mentioned, this is kind of our first formal notification of the project. We'll be bringing additional updates to you. And in addition to kind of beginning that stakeholder engagement process in earnest, we will more than likely be bringing on an additional consultant to kind of help with some of this effort as well. So that is kind of the plan for the next year. With that, I will take any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
I don't really have a question. I just want to tell you I'm excited about this process. I'm playing catch up. So I read the Carson River Master Plan today,
Yeah.
and your work plan for the year, and I think it's really great that you guys did the Mexican Dam Portage project so that paddle boarders and, you know, small boats can move along the river, and the trout release program and the wood duck program, all those things along the Carson River, I think are really cool, the educational components that you guys have been working on. So I just want to say thanks, and I'm excited for the public outreach.
Jay or Donna? No? Okay, this way, Sam or Clayton? Thank you. It's listed as a possible action, but I can't think of anything at this point where we needed to make any motions, so good report. I already heard all this, so it's okay.
Yeah, you're well versed.
But rivers are so valuable to a community, it's hard to even describe how important they are to the community and the wildlife and the whole thing about where we live, and that it's mainly all public. It's hugely important. So this is a great project for the city. I'm excited to be a part of it. Thank you, Lindsay.
And I'm sorry, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I think it's really important that we update it because, like you said, you've purchased so many parcels of land since you did the original plan, and technology has changed quite a bit. So the maps, there's a lot of the appendices in the original plan that are unreadable. So, you know, just the logistics of, you know, updating the plan, I think is really important for everyone.
Okay, then I'll call for, since it's not gonna make action item, but I'll call for public comment if you guys, one of you would like to come up at this point. Seeing none, I'm gonna move on to the next agenda item, which is staff updates. We're moving into an item 6, the director's report, updates regarding the department's projects, programs, facilities, and events, fiscal year 25 budget update, grants, status of recruitment for vacant positions, boards and commissions attendance policy, and board of supervisors action items. Jen, that's a lot of homework there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jennifer Budge, Parks and Recreation Director. I think we have a little catch-all, so if we talk about anything, we're safe. But I promise not to talk about all that. Just a couple quick updates. A budget update. This Thursday, April 18th, the Board of Supervisors will review the tentative budget for our capital requests and our supplemental requests. So anything added to our operating budget or any big items that the department wants to purchase. Everything that this board recommended to the Board of Supervisors is still in the budget, which is great. So we're really hopeful that will go through. Some key things from the open space perspective. We have a new vehicle for staff recommended. We also have a reclassification recommended for our open space maintenance coordinator to an open space foreman to get them a promotion and, you know, for all the duties and everything that he does, and it's so well deserved. So we have that in there. But those are the two big items from an open space perspective. On the park side, there's a bunch of stuff. So if anybody has questions on that, I'm happy to meet with you offline about that as well. But we are hiring right now for seasonal staff, carson.org/jobs. Every position is available, lifeguards, youth camps, park maintenance, you name it, all the fun jobs that all your kids should be signing up for. So please encourage any friends, neighbors, children to apply. We have plenty of openings. And we do hire at age 15 and above. So you can be 15 and work at youth sports. You can be a cashier at the pool. There's a lot of opportunities to have your first job. So it's a great opportunity to do that. And if there's any questions on the budget, I'm happy to answer those. But everything that you saw is moving forward. So this Thursday, we'll go to the Board of Supervisors and again in May for the final budget.
Any questions for Jen? Seeing none?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next agenda item. These are discussion only, so. Trails Coordinator Report, you get to fill in for Greg again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lindsay Boyer for the record. I'm putting on my Trails Coordinator cap today. You have before you the Trails Coordinator report, some updates from Greg, so a few things I wanted to speak on specifically. The Carson River Trail System Phase 3 Prison Hill West project is moving forward. Again, this is a $2.4 million SNPLMA funded project to construct a multi-use pathway on the west side of Prison Hill. starting at the Coons Lane Trailhead, which will be getting a facelift as well. So the 100% plans were recently completed, and we're in the process of going out to bid for construction contracts for that project, and we're anticipated to start construction in the summer, which is very exciting. And I did want to do a note for the public that there is a web page dedicated to this project. So Greg will be updating that as we go along to provide status updates and kind of where we're at in the project. So anyone looking for more information can check that out. Also related to Prison Hill, we recently did a bunch of improvements on the Coons parcel. So that's the area kind of around the trailhead that will be getting a facelift. This is an area that came to us through the lands bill, but it came to our department as parks and public purpose. So it wasn't specifically as came to us as open space, but through the Prison Hill master plan process, we recommended that parcel be treated as open space and managed accordingly for passive recreation. So kind of capitalizing on some of the recommendations from the Prison Hill master plan, we did a bunch of work out there recently to kind of close down motorized access to that area because there had been kind of a series of roads and just a lot going on out there. And we wanted to direct everyone to the trailhead specifically. There was a lot of homeowner complaints and things. There's a lot of dust and traffic and things happening out there. So to preserve and protect that area, we installed 17 regulatory signs, put in 450 feet of split rail fence, and put some boulders in some key locations so that can really help reduce the motorized travel out there. Once we complete the Prison Hill West project, we'll be doing a lot of rehabilitation of those roads, converting them down to single track trails, or in some cases erasing them altogether. So we're excited about the improvements there. Some other trail updates. So the Odyssey Trail, also on Prison Hill, Paul Sinnott and his crew from Muscle Powered, they're beginning the next phase of that project. So when complete, the Odyssey Trail will be a 5-mile loop. If you guys haven't done the Odyssey Trail yet, it's beautiful. The wildflowers are about to pop soon, so it'll be a great time to go out there. Moving over to the west side and Bob's Trail, Muscle Powered is beginning work this summer on the final segment of Bob's Trail, which is great because it'll provide a single track connection between Foothill Drive and the Ashton Kings Trail. So that's been a long time coming, beautiful area, and kind of a legacy to the late Mayor Bob Crowell. So we're excited about that. Moving over to the river side of things, we are working on a realignment of a portion of the connector trail from Riverview Park to Empire Ranch Trail. Anyone who's been out there lately may have seen that the trail is gone. It's a big giant hole in the ground from the crazy flooding that we had in 2023. So we're going to be rerouting that a little more upland to get it out from the worst area of flooding. So we're excited about that, and that is a Rec Trails Program grant. And then lastly, still in the river corridor, staff are working on what we're calling an interpretive plaza for the Morgan Mill trailhead. So right now we kind of have a lot of different signage out there. We have a monument for the dedication of when the trailhead was completed. We have some signage related to the river and river access. And every year when it floods, all of that signage gets damaged. And so in conjunction with a different project, working with Public Works and CWSD, they're going to be installing a high water mark monument at that location. So basically it'll be kind of a sculpture with the different flow levels of the river over time, so people can see kind of in situ what the river does when we have floods. It's a good educational tool to show the public that yes, the river does flood and this is what it looks like. Morgan Mill always is one of the first areas to flood, so it's a great area to have that. And that is in conjunction with FEMA as well. So with our high water mark sculpture, we're gonna put in some ADA sidewalks kind of in the middle of the parking lot. We're gonna relocate all of our signage over there. And then we're also creating 2 new interpretive signs focusing on the historic mills as well as floodplains. And so we're hoping that all this signage can be together in one area as an attractive place for the public to get information, and also getting it out of the direct pathway of the river so we don't keep spinning our wheels with our signage. So with that, I will take any questions and try to answer them.
Any questions for Greg? Go ahead, Aaron.
I have a question about the Coons Parcel project. I believe last time we spoke, we talked about the potential, the monkey flower being endangered, and I think when we went on our tour, that there was an area near there, near where the project's going to be constructed, where they are growing, and I was just curious if that was a component of the project to protect those monkey flowers.
Great question, thank you. And as part of our next report, we'll give a brief update on where we're at with monkey flower, but I appreciate you bringing that up because there is some monkey flower populations on that Coons parcel, and some of those populations are of decent size, and so with the work that we just did, we effectively protected all of those populations from that unrestricted motorized access that was happening out there. So we were very excited as kind of a multi-purpose to be able to protect those while also reducing the motorized use and the homeowner complaints. So it's a 114 acre parcel, and all of that is now protected.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any other questions on this side? No? Go ahead, Ray.
Lindsay, do you know when the Desert Peach Trail is supposed to be completed?
That is an excellent question. I believe that we are hoping it'll be completed by the end of June, if not earlier. So.
Could you tell us where
That's
that Desert Peach
fantastic.
Trail
yes,
is?
so the Desert Peach Trail is another project we're working on, just kind of got started. Kevin Joel is working on that. And so it'll be an important connector. So if anyone's done the loop trails that are on the north end of Prison Hill, taking off from Fish Street Trailhead, we have the Rabbit Brush Loop and the Sagebrush Loop and the Bitterbrush Loop. And then the Desert Peach Trail will be a connector from those loop trails up to the north loop of Prison Hill, which right now there is a trail connection, but it's super steep and lots of switchbacks and not super desirable. So this will be a much better connection, much more sustainable. So we're excited for that to be completed. And it got its name because there is quite a grove of desert peach up there. Some of it was taken out with the fire that we had in 2019, but desert peach is one that comes back after fire. So we'll get it back.
You're running out of plants to name your trails here pretty soon.
Oh, never, no.
That was a good update. Any other questions? Seeing none? Good staff report. I'm not calling for public comment till the end with these staff reports, unless you guys had a burning issue for any of the staff reports. Okay, go ahead then.
Appreciate you being open to this.
That's all right.
Sorry, Donna, if I'm upsetting you, but thank you for your question about the monkey flower. Appreciate that. I'd like to make Robin Orloff, by the way. I'd like to make a bit of a distinction. The Parks and Public Purpose area that's being improved incredibly. Great job, nice fencing, closures, what Lindsay's talking about. That's Parks and Public Purpose. I'd like to talk again about Prison Hill proper. It is a conservation easement. It was established by the charrette in 2008 by the citizens of Carson City. And there are monkey flowers, supposedly they have been seen, or they are known to be on the west slope. So I appreciate the fact that the Parks and Public Purpose area was looked at for monkey flowers, but I'm hoping that the whole population along the west slope will be looked at before Carson River Trail 3 goes in. They don't start blooming until soon. But the trail is, I believe, to be scheduled near that, where the monkey flowers are. My husband and I documented a pretty big population in Lower Headlight last year because there wasn't staff available to go out after we reported it. And we sent it into the Heritage Department, and it happens to be in the Lower Headlight area, which is an open area, which is not all rock and sand. It's not all bedrock controlled. It happens to be intact soil and intact vegetation. And when it was designated in May of 2022, it was documented as being intact by the RCI PowerPoint. So my concern is not only is it intact, but there's a monkey flower population there, and it would have been very easy to not include in the OHV area, just in view of the conservation easement, protect, preserve, integrity of the plants and soil. And so I'm wondering if there might be another look at that. this year to see if there's anything blooming. Since we reported it, the area wasn't closed off, and there's a trail that's going right through it now that was a new trail cut in after that population was designated. And I know that you're volunteers. I appreciate that. I volunteer too. I'm out there raking the slopes. I'm mulching. I'm eradicating graffiti. The rangers know I do it, and they said it was okay to do it. So I spent hours and hours out there, and I appreciate the time you guys are spending. But I'd like to see some your advisory board to staff. And if you know that some of these things are going on, it would be nice if you might look into it and maybe work with staff and with the public to make sure we really are protecting this property the way it needs to be protected. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
I'd actually, Denny French, Carson City, thank you. I'll make it sort of short. It's been brought up that there might be a consideration of engineering a situation at the Horse Creek Ranch. And I think we've missed the point where muscle power should be cheered and appreciated and encouraged. Instead, we're putting in phase 3 that will take out a whole lot of that wonderful desert peach. And it will take out a huge amount of sage. And as far as the monkey flower, there are areas that they have designated, but until they bloom, you can't see the new designated areas. And we're planning to do major stuff before that can even be reviewed. And that's unfortunate. My idea of having to contract out to a contractor, to me, it's a desert. It's really an attack on the hill. You're really just asking somebody to come in to destroy a beautiful location. Now, had Muscle Power been able to do that job, not at that extent and not at that width and not in those specific areas, they could have done a really beautiful job. But because we had the money, we were tempted, and we got a big engineering company, and I think what you're really causing is destruction, not just construction, which would be designated to people like Muscle Power that are thoughtful and integrate the environment, don't change the environment to sort of fit an engineering situation. So I was real disappointed that there aren't more people saying anything. They're going to be fine with whatever you put out there, and it's a shame. You talk about your desert peach. You talk about the monkey flower. The sage itself not only filters the air for us in this valley, but it's a habitat area for so many things. They're ground root deals, to the rabbits, to the squirrels, to everything on it. And so I'm using this as a platform, and I'm sorry I could get off the idea that this is a really good discussion on what you're all planning to do, but it's not at the depth of what we've got there, and it's sort of ignoring the destruction that's going to be happening. Yeah, it's telling you what's going to happen, but nobody seems to be affected by that. Yes, they're doing a great job of helping us keep up with what they're going to do, but should we be doing it? And I'm really brokenhearted to think that we haven't got that much consideration. We've got a wonderful bunch of people. I'd be volunteering for them too, were I in a better situation. But the deal is, Muscle Power could have done a wonderful job of an inclusive trail that met ADA factors, and they weren't chosen. And that's a shame. It's heartbreaking to me that we're going to have to engineer something that we're going to be keeping up for years that's not going to take care of the erosion that we've created and that nature has already been taking care of for years.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you very much.
I have a little thing I use.
Well, I saw
so
that.
I don't turn around like I'm ignoring
Well,
you. So I use this now, and I'll let you know when time.
Well, I appreciate your patience. Thank you
Sure.
very
All
much.
right. Thank you. Back to staff reports. Marina, you're up again. For the Senior Natural Resource Specialist and Open Space Manager, report activities related to projects managed by the Open Space Division, including updates within the Carson River corridor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lindsay Boyer for the record.
Oh, I'm
Raina and I
sorry.
are gonna
Oh, you're
gonna share.
Okay.
So starting off at the top with some Carson River updates, and the Mexican Dam Portage project was already mentioned tonight, so I'm excited to share about that. So that's a partnership with Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District. We've been working on this project for a number of years, but the goal is to create a small boater takeout just above the Mexican Dam. So right now, the floating opportunities, you can either float kind of through Carson Valley above the dam, or you can float through Carson below the dam. But there isn't a safe way for people to exit the river, carry their boat around the dam, and get back on the river. So that's the goal of this project. And this is another recreational trails program funded project, which is exciting. So effectively, once this project is completed, it's going to extend the aquatic trail quite a bit, because now folks can put in Carson Valley, and they can effectively float, all the way to Dayton if they want. So we're definitely looking forward to this coming to fruition. Right now, the design is kind of being worked on. The kind of an initial design was presented also at the Watershed Forum, which was a great event. So once they finalize the design, they'll begin the permitting process, which of course, since it's a river project, it will require all the permitting through the Army Corps and NDEP. So we are hopeful that if everything goes well, we could begin construction in the fall of 2024. But if there's any delays with permitting or anything like that, then we'll be looking at construction in 2025. So I mentioned the Watershed Forum a bunch, so just want to give an overview. For those of you who don't know, that's a great event to be on the lookout for. It's put on by CWSD every year, and it's a 2-day event, and they invite folks from around the watershed to come together and kind of speak about different issues that are happening on the river. So Marina and I presented about the Carson River Master Plan and also the Mexican Dam Portage Project. There was lots of other great presentations, so it's a good way to stay in the know about what's going on in the watershed. Skipping ahead to other items under my purview, did want to give an update about Buzzy's Ranch as well as it relates to river updates. So we brought the bank stabilization project before you last meeting, got lots of great feedback and comments from the committee and the public. So right now we're kind of working on digesting that feedback and kind of re-evaluating our repair approach. We as staff are working on some site visits. We'd like to get out and see some projects in Carson Valley and in Dayton, kind of see how some of these projects have turned out post-construction. So we're working on scheduling those. We want to get the right staff to show us around and be able to talk about the background on those projects. And then, of course, I've scheduled you all for tours, so we'll be doing that as well. So we're looking forward to having additional discussions towards that end. And then related to water rights, of course, this is a ongoing project trying to obtain water rights for Buzzy's Ranch so we can preserve and protect that property. A few updates that weren't even included in your report here. We did apply for Conserve Nevada funds back in December to hopefully fund that effort. I did just hear from them today. Unfortunately, we were not selected for that particular round of funding. This is their first round back in action. They were a really big conservation grant program in the past, and this is their first round back. So there will be more, and we'll continue to apply as those opportunities open up. But regardless of that funding falling through, we are still moving forward with initiating an appraisal for the water rights that we have earmarked through our partner. So that's kind of the next step, is to find out, really what ballpark we're going to be looking at, and then we can start talking about other funding mechanisms and purchasing approaches and things like that. So we are creeping along. It's going to be a long process, but I continue to work on that effort. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Marina.
So I have a couple of really heartwarming things to share. Erin, who you all met a little bit ago, Erin and I did a couple of events with kids at local schools to release trout into the Carson River and streams that flow into the Carson River. So yeah, three schools, elementary through middle school aged, and these kids are so smart. Like, I had a series of questions to ask them to have a guided, hike, and these kids knew all the answers to my questions. It was just phenomenal. It was really fun. In one of the pictures, we have CK Bailey using the trout slide, which is just the coolest thing for these kids to get a little cup of fish and have them go down this trout slide into the water. It's really cool to take these kids outside. The other thing is that we and several volunteers installed wood duck boxes last November. And a couple weeks ago, staff and volunteers cleaned out those boxes and filled them with wood shavings to encourage wood ducks to lay their eggs there. And I was on the news talking about this a couple weeks ago, and we know that the ducks are using the boxes, but we have no signs of eggs or chicks yet. So if you guys are in the area, use your binoculars. I don't want to disturb any residents, but go and take a look and see what you can see. The Sheep Project is back in town for the 18th year. On Saturday, sheep from Borderland and Sheep Company began arriving to the hills behind Greenhouse Garden Center. And then a week from today, the North Band will arrive behind the hills, in the hills behind the college and behind the Timberline neighborhood. New this year, we have our own sheep website, carson.org/sheep, that we can direct folks to who have questions, who want to know where the sheep are. We get tons of calls and inquiries about people that just want to go out and see the sheep. So hopefully that will make it a little bit easier. Lindsay and I are hoping to lead an interpretive hike towards the end of this month around Sea Hill. So stay tuned. Let's see, and as promised, that update to Carson Valley Monkey Flower. So in February, I talked to you all about how a petition was brought forth to list that as a threatened species. It's still in the Fish and Wildlife Service court to determine if that petition is worth pursuing further. So they haven't made their decision yet, but we'll keep looking. And with that, Lindsay and I will take any questions.
Any questions on the left? Donna?
Regarding Buzzy's Ranch, also in Hope Valley, there, a few years back, there was a lot of work done on the Carson River through there and bank stabilization projects. So you might want to look at those projects too. And I do have a question about Burr Buttercup. I never saw this 3-4 years ago, and I'm fighting it in my front yard. Now it's moved to the backyard. Where is it coming from? Is it the deer or?
I can't tell you where exactly it's coming from, but it's been in the area. I remember it from my Weed Coalition coordinator days because we would get calls. People would confuse it for puncture vine, goat heads. Yeah. Yeah. Not quite as horrible, but still pokey, and it'll definitely upset, your dog's paws or your cat's paws.
Or your bicycle tires.
Yeah. Another nasty weed, but it's an annual, so get out your hula hoe or.
For me, it's best by hand, but I'm got to be fast because it comes up fast. It's quick.
Yeah, it's already putting seed out.
Yeah.
So.
She's using this time for her personal gardening matters here. Anybody else down here? Go ahead, Erin.
I just wanted to say thank you again for all of your hard work. I'm catching up, so I read your work plan today, and you guys have an amazing amount of work planned for this year. And I did want to highlight that there are several monitoring efforts planned for Prison Hill this year, one being for the OHV area and one being for the fire restoration monitoring area. And you also do an amazing amount of work of applying for grants. I mean, just the process of the filling out an application for a grant is huge. And in addition, you win a lot of grants. So that is a little bit of a bummer. I'm sure that you didn't get the Conserve Nevada grant for Buzzy's Ranch water rights, but I'm confident that you guys are going to figure it out because I'm so impressed by how many grants you guys win for every aspect of open space. So thank you so much for all that hard work.
I'm really excited to hear that you're doing the trout program. I used to do that when I was a school teacher. And it's so important to have kids out, and a lot of them never ever would get this opportunity. So it really brings them out into our open space areas and teaches them how important they are and how involved they are with their ecosystems. And I'm, again, kind of what Aaron was saying, you do so much. I can't even believe you have time to go out and do interpretive hikes. And I think that also is phenomenal. I was just on the geology one with Tom, and I could not believe how many people were there. It was a mob. And how exciting. And everyone was so excited and just following him around like, you know, little puppies and listening to everything he said and asking questions. And that's really cool. So I'm glad that you have some time to go out and do those very fun, but also very important things. So enjoy them when you get to do them.
No. You know, every year on every channel, the sheep come on TV. It's a big story. It's been going on for years, and they still, every year. And they deliver it well with the message and the behavior pattern that's needed and your pets and all that. But every channel loves that story. So you guys can milk that for all it's worth. But that's a huge, anytime you're on every news channel with your stories, you just forgot to get the rest of the stories on there. Now, when you said you're going to take an interpretive hike around Sea Hill, you didn't mean around Sea. Are you taking? That's one terrible hike up to Sea Hill. What interpretive hike is going on there?
Yeah, we'll start in the parking lot behind the church there, and then let people walk as far as they want.
That's on the future list that Peter's going to work on. Actually, I had done some stuff. That's a terrible hillside to get a trail on. We'll talk about that in the future.
I've already created a circumnavigation Sea Hill hike. It's only about 7 miles.
Well, I don't think they're going to take a 7-mile turban. Nobody's going to want to listen to them after the first mile. So well, good report. Any other comments from board? Nope. Then I'll call for public comment on this specific item. Nope. Okay, we'll move on to the next one then. We're at what? Oh, she is coming up. I'm sorry. I thought you said no.
Yeah. Robin Orloff. There's a lot going on. It's really exciting. And yes, I agree, grants are really difficult to write, and you should be commended for all the grant money that you do get. Regarding an interpretive hike around Sea Hill, I think maybe in the keeping of what we're doing, why don't we put in a multi-use trail all around the base of Sea Hill, like we're doing all around Prison Hill. We can do it on the east side of town. Maybe we could do it on the west side. And I'd like to, just have you in view of all the projects that are going on, maybe tweak your brains a quarter turn and look at the trail from 5th Street that goes to Silver Saddle Ranch. And that's a very wide trail. It was supposed to be 10 to 12 feet wide. It's wider than that. And look at the collateral damage done from the construction equipment that put it in. That's what's going around Prison Hill. That's what's going to be on the west side of Prison Hill. And I would ask you to please think about that. It's going through virgin sagebrush in many, many places. It's going to be pretty visually impactful. It's taking out virgin sagebrush. I mean, it's in a conservation easement property. And I'm just wondering why we're doing that. Because it's free money, I'm told. Because if we didn't get the money, somebody else would. And I'll tell you, I'm going out to Beatty and Tonopah and Panaca and Pioche and Caliente, and those people are trying to encourage their ecotourism and get trails. And we have a lot of money and a lot of great trails here, and maybe we should share some of our resources and let them have some money. And I've also been told that if it's decided, I mean, you're going to have road construction equipment going out on Prison Hill. And I know Mark mentioned, what about doing high engineering at Horse Creek? You know, how disappointing that would be if they go in and engineer where they could just put in a pipe, I think you were talking about, for erosion. So that's going to be going on the west slope of Prison Hill. And I think it's something we really need to to reconsider. Grant money does go back when entities decide that they're going to do something else. The Nevada OHV Commission has returned grant money on 1 or 2 occasions, and SNPLA would certainly take the money back if you decided to do a less impactful trail, maybe an ADA trail that's 36 inches or 72 inches. It's muscle power caliber that would be in keeping with our Great Basin, the western edge of our Great Basin, that would be integrated with it, rather than a trail that's going to look like the one from Fifth Street to Silver Saddle that's in the Silver Saddle viewshed. And I really think we need to reconsider this. And you're in a position where you might be able to discuss it since you're advisory. So maybe just tweak your brains. Thank you.
Okay, Robin. Okay, that's a non-action item. We're done, so we move on to item 7, member announcements and requests for information. We'll start down with Aaron. None? Jay? None? Donna?
Couple of things. The Historic Virginia and Truckee Trail also did not get the grant from Conserve Nevada. Sad, sad. We're trying another option. I'm not giving up. I'm getting that bridge over the Carson River. And, but the other up thing, we do have a website, vnttrail.org. We're a little rough, but we do have a website, so please go look at it. And we are going after other grant options. There's another federal grant now, ATIP, Active Transportation Infrastructure, another I program. And we're going to go, we're trying to get Washoe and Douglas County, 2 different grants, but we can't apply. The county or city have to apply. So we're working on 2 more grants. I don't give up easy. So anyway.
We know that, Donna. And we appreciate that. I think that bridge back east that the boat ran into took all your money, though, for that grant. That ship that ran into the bridge, there went your money right there. Any other, on this side, comments? No, then we'll move on to number 8, future agenda items. You have in your package, do you have any additions to what you put on this piece of paper?
Not at this time, but I will accept any recommendations.
I have a couple. Does anybody else have anything before I say mine? Y'all be pulling those weeds out of your yard, huh? Oh, that's better, with your cat. So on the joint meeting, I was hoping maybe we could invite Endor, who gives the Conserve Nevada grants, so they can get to know us better. At a joint meeting, if we can get a shot, try to get her here, the administrator. We talked about that before, actually. And then on the August, it's that new award program for this group to present. That's when we announce it in August. Those are my 2 changes to agenda items.
Perfect. I have those noted. Thank you.
If there's nothing else there, then one more chance for public comment.
Thank you. Denny French, Carson City, Nevada. I'd like to suggest that we think more seasonal related type activities like our trimming in areas to keep from trimming trees when they're going to have bird nests in them, or spraying when dandelions are really a key factor in the bee survival, especially considering the problems that we're having. And I also would like to suggest that in one of the articles, I believe it was by Joanne Scully in the Garden from the Nevada Appeal, had stated the importance of maybe not mowing, maybe not picking up or pulling out the dandelions until they have served their purpose of feeding birds, small birds and such, as well as the bees. So I would like to recommend it. Unfortunately, I can't refer you to the actual article, but I also would like to just to reiterate my consideration and concern about the spraying. If you could just hold off a bit, if you could hold off main mowing, if you could just give it a little bit more time. The bees are really struggling. The article that I have from the computer is really, will scientists be able to stop the loss of bees in time? Our hive bees are really struggling. They're having major loss. This particular article is titled "Inside the Race to Save Honeybees from the Parasite Mites that are Destroying Their Guts." And they're just not very well functional. You know how you feel when you got the flu. You can imagine this will put them down. This will kill them. And with not having the right meal to show that they are going to have the hot soup type deal, it's going to be devastating. And the article is devastating itself. Just looking at it is heartbreaking because we have the opportunity to at least help. We don't have to mow right away. Yes, it's going to maybe, Rick Cooley, he responded to my call and said he would look into it, so I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to Jennifer Budges and ladies here, their responses to my request. Please consider it very earnestly. It's very, very important. I know that our bees are a big stay, and Lindsay is a support for that. I just want to hear your voice more often about it. Thank you.
Big stay. All right, we're back here to an action for adjournment. Is somebody so move? Anybody? Marion, so moved, adjournment. Thank you. Good meeting. Great staff. Yeah, we had the most packed room we've had in a long time tonight for a while.